The massive warship appeared out of hyperspace like a wounded animal, its sleek hull marked with scorch marks and its quantum drive sputtering with unstable energy. Earth Orbital Repair Station 7 had seen many damaged ships before, but nothing quite like this. Tom Reynolds stood at the control room window, his coffee forgotten in his hand as he watched the alien vessel limp toward the docking area. At 53, he had spent 30 years fixing everything from small trading vessels to luxury cruise ships. But this was different. The ship was easily twice the size of anything they'd handled before. "Well," he said to no one in particular, "this should be interesting." The station's warning systems flashed as readings from the ship's quantum drive came in. The numbers made Tom's eyebrows rise. The energy signature was all wrong, fluctuating in patterns he'd never seen before. "Get Bay 4 cleared immediately," he ordered through the station's comm system. "And someone wake up Maria. We're going to need her for this one." The alien ship's captain appeared on the main screen. The creature had blue-tinted scales and multiple eyes, but Tom could still recognize worry when he saw it. "This is Captain Dox of the Imperial Warship Stalwart. We request emergency repairs." "This is Head Engineer Reynolds of Earth Repair Station 7. We're ready to receive you. Follow our guidance beacons into Bay 4. The captain's expression shifted to what might have been skepticism. "Human, our quantum drive has suffered a Class 9 fracture. We have visited repair stations in 3 galaxies. None could fix it. Are you certain you want to attempt this?" Tom smiled. He'd heard similar doubts before. "Captain, bring her in. Let us take a look before you decide what we can or can't fix." As the massive ship maneuvered into the repair bay, Tom gathered his team. Maria Garcia, the station's master mechanic, arrived looking like she'd just rolled out of bed, which she had. Her gray hair was messy, but her eyes were sharp as ever. "What have we got?" she asked, scanning the preliminary readings. Class 9 quantum drive fracture, according to them. 3 other repair stations couldn't fix it. Maria snorted. 3 alien stations, you mean? Did they try actually opening it up and looking inside, or did they just run their fancy diagnostics and give up? The repair crew suited up and headed to the bay as the massive ship settled into place. A delegation of alien officers waited at the airlock, their expressions a mixture of hope and doubt. Captain Dox towered over the humans, his scales shimming under the bay lights. "Our engineers will provide you with the standard repair protocols." "Actually," Tom interrupted, "we'd like to take a look at it ourselves first. Maria, would you do the honors?" Maria was already walking toward the quantum drive housing, her handheld scanner buzzing. She pressed her ear against the metal surface, listening to the drive's vibrations. The alien engineers watched in horror as she pulled out a simple wrench and began removing the outer panels. "You can't do that," one of the alien engineers protested. "The protocols specifically state that a quantum containment field must be established before." "There's your problem right there," Maria announced, pointing at something inside the drive. "See how the quantum matrix is trying to compensate for the fracture? It's making it worse, like trying to put weight on a broken leg." Tom peered inside, nodding. "We'll need to power it down completely. Let it reset." "That's impossible," Captain Dox declared. "The drive core can't be fully powered down. It would take weeks to reinitialize." "Not if we do it right," Tom said with a smile. "We've got some tricks that might surprise you. Maria, get the quantum stabilizer from Bay 2. The one we modified last month." As Maria hurried off, Tom turned to the captain. "Here's the thing about repair protocols, Captain. They're written for standard problems. But in my experience, there's no such thing as a standard problem. Every break, every failure, has its own story. Our job is to listen to that story and figure out what the machine is trying to tell us." The aliens exchanged confused looks, but Tom was already focused on the task ahead. He knew that by the time they were done, these aliens would understand why human repair stations had started gaining a reputation across the galaxy. Sometimes the best solutions came not from following protocols, but from understanding the basic principles and being willing to try something new. Maria returned with the modified stabilizer, and Tom could see the familiar glint in her eye. They had work to do, and it was going to be interesting. The repair bay hummed with activity as Tom and Maria worked on the alien warship's quantum drive. The alien engineers stood back, their multiple eyes wide with a mixture of horror and fascination as the humans seemingly broke every repair protocol in the book. "Hand me that plasma torch," Maria called out, her voice echoing inside the drive chamber. She lay on her back on a creeper, half buried in the quantum drive's inner workings. "And get me one of those power converters we salvaged from that old mining ship last week." Tom raised an eyebrow. "The Centaurian one. You think that'll work with their systems?" "Watch and learn." Maria grinned, her face smudged with grease. "These alien quantum drives all work on the same basic principles. It's like an old combustion engine. Fuel goes in, power comes out. The rest is just fancy packaging." Captain Doc stepped forward, his scales bristling with concern. "This is highly irregular. You're mixing technology from different species. The compatibility protocols clearly state." "See, that's your first mistake," Tom interrupted, handing Maria the requested tools. "Thinking that protocols can cover every situation. Humans learned a long time ago that sometimes you have to improvise." The alien captain watched nervously as Maria began connecting the salvaged power converter to their quantum drive. "But how can you be certain it won't explode?" "Because we understand how it works," Maria explained, her voice slightly muffled as she worked. "We don't just memorize repair procedures. We learn why things work the way they do. That's the human touch." Tom walked over to a workbench and picked up what looked like a mess of wires and crystals. "Look at this. We made it last month when we had to fix a Betelgeusian cargo ship. Their main computer was fried, but we figured out how to bypass it using parts from 3 different species tech. Works better than the original now." The alien engineers crowded around the device, their professional curiosity finally overcoming their skepticism. One of them, a younger officer named Rex, seemed particularly interested. "But how do you know which parts will work together?" Rex asked, his antenna twitching with curiosity. Tom smiled. "Trial and error, mostly. Humans have been fixing things with whatever we had on hand since we first picked up stone tools. We call it jury rating, making things work with what you've got available." From inside the drive chamber, there came a loud clank followed by Maria's triumphant, "Got it." She slid out from under the machinery, her uniform covered in various colorful fluids. "The quantum matrix is stabilizing. Give it about an hour to fully integrate with the new power converter." Captain Dox checked his own readings and his eyes widened in surprise. "The fracture. It's actually healing itself. But how? This goes against everything we know about quantum drive repair." "Sometimes you have to break the rules to fix the problem," Maria said, wiping her hands on a rag. "We noticed your drive was stuck in a feedback loop, trying to fix itself, but actually making things worse. So we introduced a bit of controlled chaos with the Centaurian converter. It's giving the quantum matrix something else to focus on while it repairs the fracture." Tom watched the readings with satisfaction. "It's like resetting a broken bone. Sometimes you have to make things worse temporarily to make them better in the long run." The alien engineers huddled around their diagnostic equipment, chattering excitedly in their native language as they watched the quantum drive's readings improve steadily. Rex turned to Tom with what appeared to be admiration in his compound eyes. "This is remarkable," he said. "Our best repair stations couldn't fix this drive, yet you humans did it with salvaged parts. And ingenuity," Tom finished for him. "That's what humans are good at. We see problems as puzzles to solve, not just procedures to follow." Maria was already packing up her tools. "Give it another hour to stabilize completely, then you can start powering up your systems. But next time something breaks, come to us first. Save yourself some time." As the aliens continued to marvel at the healing quantum drive, Tom noticed several of them taking detailed notes. He smiled to himself, knowing that word of this repair would spread. Human repair stations were about to get a lot busier. 3 weeks after fixing the Imperial warship's quantum drive, Earth Orbital Repair Station 7 was busier than ever. Tom stood in the control room, watching as 5 alien ships waited in the queue for repairs. Each vessel was different from the others. A spindly transport ship, 2 merchant vessels with unique designs, and even a massive mining barge. "Remember when we used to have slow days?" Tom asked as Maria walked in with 2 cups of coffee. She handed him one and looked out at the waiting ships. "Those were boring anyway," she replied with a grin. "Did you see the message from Station 12? They've got a 15-ship waiting list now." The station's communication panel lit up with another incoming request. This time, it was a sleek vessel with crystalline structures growing from its hull, a design they'd never seen before. Tom thought back to humanity's first contact with alien life, just 10 years ago. Everyone had expected the aliens to be far ahead of humans in every way. And while they did have impressive technology, they lacked something that humans took for granted: the ability to think outside the box. Station 7. "This is Trading Vessel Lightning Spark." The alien captain's voice crackled through the speakers. "We've heard stories about your repair capabilities. Our main engine is, well, we're not sure what's wrong with it. 3 different repair stations couldn't even diagnose the problem." Maria smiled. "Sounds like fun. They too will be clear in about an hour. We'll take a look." As they waited, Tom pulled up the repair log from their first alien customer, an agricultural ship with a malfunctioning atmospheric processor. The alien crew had been certain it needed complete replacement, but Tom's team had fixed it with parts from an old Earth air conditioning unit and some creative programming. "You know what's funny?" Tom said, scrolling through the old logs. "These aliens have been traveling through space way longer than us, but they never developed a repair network like ours." The station's newest mechanic, Jack, looked up from his diagnostic panel. "What do you mean?" "Well, look at human history," Tom explained. "When cars first became common, every small town had a mechanic who could fix them. Same with tractors, planes, anything mechanical. We built a culture of fixing things." Maria nodded. "Most alien species focused on making things that wouldn't break. When something did break, they just replaced it. They never developed the fix-it mentality we have." The station shuddered slightly as the crystalline ship docked in Bay 2. Tom and Maria headed down to meet their newest customers, toolboxes in hand. As they walked, they passed Bay 3, where Rex, the young alien engineer from the Imperial warship, was now studying human repair techniques as part of a new exchange program. "The human repair network is really taking off," Maria commented. "I heard they're opening 3 new training centers on Earth next month. Aliens actually want to learn how we do things." They'd reached Bay 2 just as the crystalline ship's crew was disembarking. The aliens looked like tall, thin humanoids with transparent skin that showed swirling colors beneath. Their captain approached Tom and Maria with a hopeful expression. "We heard about how you fixed the Imperial warship," the captain said, their skin shifting to a gentle blue color. "They say you humans can fix anything. Is it true?" Tom shared a look with Maria. "We can usually figure something out. Want to show us what's wrong with your engine?" As they followed the captain into the ship, Tom heard more repair requests coming in through his communicator. Word was definitely spreading across the galaxy. If you had something broken, the humans would find a way to fix it. "You know what this reminds me of?" Maria said as they entered the ship's engine room. "That old Earth saying, 'Necessity is the mother of invention.'" Tom nodded, already examining the strange crystalline engine with interest. "And humans, we've turned fixing things into an art form." The alert sounded different this time. Tom looked up from his desk to see the emergency lights flashing in an unusual pattern. On his screen, the readings made no sense at all. "Maria, you need to see this," he called out over the intercom. "We've got something strange coming in." The ship that appeared on their long-range sensors looked like nothing they'd ever seen before. It seemed to shift and change shape as it moved, its hull reflecting light in impossible ways. But what really caught Tom's attention was the energy signature, or rather, the lack of one. "That can't be right," Maria said as she entered the control room. "According to these readings, that ship shouldn't even exist." The communication panel lit up with a message in an unknown language. The station's universal translator took several attempts before it could process it. "This is Diplomatic Vessel Unity," a melodic voice finally came through. "We require immediate assistance. Our existence drive is failing." Tom and Maria exchanged looks. "Existence drive," they said in unison. The ship docked in Bay 1. Though docked wasn't quite the right word. It seemed to merge with the station's structure, its strange surface rippling like water. A delegation of beings emerged, or perhaps materialized, from the ship. They looked like shifting patterns of light given vague humanoid form. "We are the architects," one of them said, its voice seeming to come from everywhere at once. "Our vessel operates on principles your species has not yet discovered, but we have heard of your ability to repair the impossible." Tom stepped forward. "Can you tell us how your ship works?" "We cannot," the being replied. "Your language has no words for the concepts involved. Our own engineers cannot repair it. We need fresh eyes, minds unconstrained by knowledge of what is supposedly impossible." Maria was already walking around the ship, her handheld scanner giving completely contradictory readings. "Well, that's a new one," she muttered. "Tom, come look at this. The metal, if it is metal, seems to exist in multiple states at once. The nearest safe port is 6 months away," the architect said. "We have perhaps 2 hours before the existence drive fails completely. When that happens..." The being didn't need to finish the sentence. Tom could see the worry in its shifting patterns of light. "Okay," Tom said, making a decision. "We can't understand how it works, but maybe we don't need to. Maria, remember that weird phase anomaly we saw in the Centaurian mining ship last month?" Maria's eyes lit up. "The one we fixed by reversing the polarity of the quantum stabilizer. But this is completely different technology." "Maybe not as different as we think," Tom said. "Everything in the universe follows some kind of pattern. We just need to find this one." They got to work, bringing in tools and equipment from a dozen different species. Rex, who was still studying at the station, joined them with his unique understanding of quantum mechanics. The architects watched in fascination as the humans began trying different approaches, each failure teaching them something new about the strange technology. "The existence drive isn't actually failing," Maria announced after an hour of tests. "It's more like it's forgetting how to exist. Like a computer that's lost its operating system." Tom nodded, an idea forming. "So maybe we don't need to fix it. Maybe we just need to remind it how to work." He turned to Rex. "Get me that neural interface from the Betelgeuse ship we fixed last week, and the quantum resonator from Bay 4. The architect's pattern swirled with what might have been confusion. "You intend to combine technologies that were never meant to work together." "That's the human way," Tom smiled. "When you don't know the rules, you can't be constrained by them. And sometimes that's exactly what you need." As they began setting up their improvised repair system, Tom couldn't help but feel excited. This was why he loved his job. Every day brought new impossibilities to solve, new boundaries to push, and today they were about to attempt their most ambitious repair yet, fixing a ship that challenged the very laws of physics as they knew them. As Tom and Maria worked on the architect's impossible ship, a small crowd gathered in Bay 1. Engineers from various alien species watched in fascination as the humans combined technologies in ways that should never have worked together. "Pass me that frequency modulator," Tom called out to Rex, who had become an unofficial bridge between human and alien engineering concepts, "and get ready with the neural interface." Maria was typing rapidly on a tablet, creating new programs to handle the strange interactions between their cobbled-together repair system and the existence drive. "You know," she said, not looking up from her work, "this reminds me of teaching my grandson about bicycle repair." Several alien engineers tilted their heads in confusion, but Rex leaned forward with interest. He had learned that when humans made such seemingly random connections, something interesting usually followed. "See, I told him it's not about memorizing which part goes where," Maria continued, still typing. "It's about understanding why things work. A chain moves the wheel because of simple physics. Once you understand that, you can fix almost anything that uses similar principles." Tom nodded as he carefully adjusted the quantum resonator. "That's the real difference between human and alien repair philosophy. We don't just learn procedures, we learn principles." One of the architects shifted its luminous form closer. "Please explain. Our species has achieved technological mastery far beyond human understanding, yet we cannot repair our own vessel." "That's exactly the problem," Tom said, checking the readings on his scanner. "You achieved mastery without understanding the basics. Humans did it backwards. We started with sticks and stones and had to figure everything out as we went along." Maria pointed to their repair setup. "Look at this. We're using a Betelgeusian neural interface because it's good at reading patterns. The quantum resonator is from a mining ship because it's designed to handle unstable energy fields. Neither was meant to work with your technology, but we understand how they work at a fundamental level." Rex's antenna twitched with excitement. "I think I understand. It's like the Earth training program I'm in. We spent the first month taking apart old combustion engines, even though nobody uses them anymore." "Exactly," Tom smiled. "You have to understand the basics before you can handle the complex stuff. Humans never skip those steps. We had to figure out fire before electricity, wheels before anti-gravity." The repair bay hummed with energy as they activated their makeshift system. The architect's ship seemed to shimmer in response, its surface rippling like a disturbed pond. "Look at these readings," Maria said excitedly. "The existence drive is responding to the neural interface. It's like it's remembering how to exist properly." Tom watched as the ship's energy patterns slowly stabilized. Every machine, no matter how advanced, follows certain universal principles: energy, matter, cause and effect. Once you understand those, you can fix anything, even technology you don't fully understand. The gathered aliens watched in amazement as the humans' seemingly random collection of parts and programs somehow brought order to the chaos of the failing existence drive. One by one, the warning signals turned green. "That's the other thing about human engineers," Maria added, making final adjustments. "We're not afraid to fail. Every failed attempt teaches us something new." An alien engineer from a crystalline species spoke up. "In our culture, failure is considered unacceptable. We must be certain before we attempt anything." "And that's why you'll never discover anything truly new," Tom replied kindly. "Humans have a saying: trial and error. Each error gets you closer to success." The architect's ship had fully stabilized now, its surface no longer shifting randomly, but moving in smooth, controlled patterns. The lead architect's form glowed brighter. "We have existed for millennia," it said, its voice filled with wonder. "Yet we never considered such an approach to problems. Perhaps there is much we could learn from humanity's backwards development." Tom looked around at the gathered aliens, crystalline engineers, skilled technicians, beings of pure energy, and Rex with his compound eyes bright with understanding. Each had their own incredible technologies, but they were all here to learn the human way of fixing things. "Every species in the galaxy has something to teach," he said. "We humans just happen to learn our lessons the hard way. And sometimes, that's the best way to learn." The first warning came as a low hum that made everyone's teeth vibrate. Tom looked up from the existence drive's control panel just as the emergency lights began flashing. "Something's wrong," Maria said, her eyes fixed on the readings that were suddenly spiraling out of control. "The drive isn't just unstable. It's pulling in energy from somewhere else. The architect's ship pulsed with strange light, its surface rippling violently. The lead architect's form flickered with alarm. The drive is creating a quantum feedback loop. It could tear apart the fabric of space-time. Rex's antenna went flat against his head, a sign of extreme distress in his species. The neural interface is overloading. It's reading patterns it was never designed to handle. Tom's mind raced. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before the situation became catastrophic. He could see the fear in the alien's eyes. Even the architects, beings of pure energy, seemed to tremble. "Everyone out," he ordered, his voice cutting through the rising chaos. "Clear the bay. Maria, Rex, you stay with me. We created this problem. We're going to fix it." As the other aliens evacuated, Tom turned to the main console. The existence drive was now pulling in energy from the station itself, causing lights to flicker throughout the facility. Warning messages flooded the screens in multiple languages. Station integrity at 82% and falling. The computer announced calmly, "Recommend immediate evacuation." Maria was already moving, her hands flying over the controls. "If we shut down the neural interface..." "No time," Tom interrupted. "The drive's locked into the pattern now. Shutting it down would be like pulling the pin on a grenade." Rex stepped forward, his compound eyes reflecting the pulsing emergency lights. "The quantum resonator, we could reverse its field." "That would just accelerate the collapse," Maria said, but then she stopped, her eyes widening. "Unless, Tom, remember that mining accident last year, when we had to contain that runaway fusion reactor." Tom saw where she was going. "You want to create a containment bubble. With this technology we barely understand." "Not contain it," Maria said, already rewiring connections with practiced speed. "Guide it. The drive isn't really malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, just too much of it." The ship's surface was now rippling like a storm-tossed ocean, pieces of it seeming to exist in multiple places at once. The lead architect spoke, its voice distorted by the energy fluctuations. "Our vessel operates by shifting through multiple realities," it explained quickly. "The drive has lost its anchor point. It's trying to exist in all realities at once. Then we give it something to focus on," Tom said firmly. "Rex, reconfigure the neural interface. Don't try to control the patterns. Amplify them instead. Maria, get ready with the quantum resonator. We're going to give this drive exactly what it wants." The station shuddered around them as the existence drive's power grew. Warning sirens blared as structural integrity dropped further. But Tom kept his eyes on the readings, waiting for exactly the right moment. "Now," he shouted. Maria activated the reversed quantum resonator just as Rex pushed the neural interface to full power. The ship's wild energy patterns suddenly had a path to follow, a pattern to lock onto. The containment bubble they created didn't fight against the drive's power. It worked with it, guiding the energy in a controlled loop. For a terrifying moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the violent ripples in the ship's surface began to smooth out. The warning sirens quieted one by one. "Station integrity stabilizing," the computer announced. "Power levels returning to normal." The lead architect's form brightened with what looked like relief. "The drive, it's reestablishing its quantum anchor." "How did you know this would work?" Tom let out a long breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "We didn't, but we understood the principles involved. Sometimes you have to work with a problem instead of fighting against it." Maria was already checking the final readings. "Like riding a wave instead of trying to stop it," she added. "Basic physics, just on a quantum scale." Rex's antenna perked up again as he studied the now stable readings. Human engineering at its finest, solving problems by understanding how things work, not just how they're supposed to work. 1 year after the existence drive incident, Earth Orbital Repair Station 7 had changed dramatically. The facility had tripled in size, with new repair bays stretching out like spokes from the central hub. Tom stood at his familiar spot in the control room, but now he watched over a much larger operation. Message from the Architect Embassy, Maria called out as she entered, holding her ever-present coffee cup. They're sending another group of students for the exchange program. Tom nodded, smiling as he watched Rex, now a full instructor, teaching a group of alien engineers about the basics of human repair philosophy. The young alien had come a long way from his days as a skeptical Imperial engineer. "Did you see the latest statistics?" Tom asked, pulling up a holographic display. "There are now 57 human repair stations across 3 galaxies, and every single one has a waiting list." The display showed streams of ships moving between stars, with human repair stations glowing like beacons along the trade routes. What had started as a curiosity, aliens discovering that humans could fix their unfixable problems, had grown into something much bigger. "Engineering school applications on Earth are up 300%, Maria added. "Everyone wants to learn the human way of fixing things. Who would have thought our primitive approach would become the galaxy's gold standard?" In Bay 4, a team of human and alien engineers worked together on a complex repair job. Tom watched as they combined different technologies with the confident ease that came from understanding basic principles. The fear and skepticism that had once greeted such combinations was gone, replaced by appreciation for human ingenuity. A familiar shimmer announced the arrival of an architect vessel, one of their regular visitors now. The being that emerged was the same one they had helped during the crisis, its pattern of lights now familiar and friendly. "The human repair network has changed the galaxy," the architect said, its voice carrying the musical tones they had come to recognize as happiness. But perhaps not in the way anyone expected. Tom raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "Your repair stations have become more than just places to fix broken ships," the architect explained. "They have become meeting points, places where different species come together and learn from each other. The human approach to problem solving has opened minds across the galaxy." As if to prove the point, a group of engineers from 5 different species walked past, deeply engaged in discussion about adapting Centaurian technology to work with Betelgeusian systems. Just a year ago, such cooperation would have been unthinkable. "We've received the first graduating class reports from the Earth Engineering Academy," Maria said, reading from her tablet. 27 alien species represented. They're calling it the Renaissance Engineering Program now. Tom remembered how it all started, with one damaged Imperial warship and a repair crew willing to try the impossible. Now, human repair techniques were spreading across the stars, changing not just how things were fixed, but how species interacted with each other. "You know what the best part is?" Rex said, joining them after finishing his class. "Every species brings something new to the table. Humans taught us to think outside the box, but now we're all learning from each other." The station hummed with activity as ships came and went. In every bay, problems were being solved in ways that combined the best of human ingenuity with alien technology. The repair crews had become diplomats of sorts, building bridges between civilizations one fixed ship at a time. "That's the real legacy of the repair crews," Tom said, watching a newly repaired ship depart. "We didn't just teach the galaxy how to fix machines. We showed them that different approaches, different ideas, different species, they can all work together. Sometimes the best solutions come from the most unexpected combinations." Maria raised her coffee cup in a toast. "To the repair crews, past, present, and future. May we keep fixing the impossible and bringing the galaxy together, one broken ship at a time." As the others joined in the toast, Tom looked out at the busy repair bays and smiled. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy, not through military might or advanced technology, but through the simple, powerful ability to fix what others thought was broken. And in doing so, they had helped fix something even bigger, the barriers between species.